What actually happens when a US drone gets shot down by an Iranian missile? It starts with a lock. Iranian IRGC early warning radars paint the Predator drone. Moments later, this signals is being transmitted to the nearest surface-to-air missile launches, turning the surveillance aircraft into falling debris. But in modern warfare, every shot leaves a footprint. By firing that missile, the Iranians instantly lit up their own radar positions, handing their exact coordinates straight to U.S. command and control. Within minutes, American strike packages were airborne. Here's the fatal flaw of air defense. When switching on a radar dish is like turning on a massive flashlight in a pitch-black room. It acts as a homing beacon for the enemy, and the U.S. military has a weapon built specifically for this exact moment. As long as that enemy dish is broadcasting, this specialized missile will ride those electronic waves straight back to the source and completely wipe it off the map. Early Sunday morning, over the volatile waters of the Strait of Hormuz, a US MQ-1 Predator drone glides at 25,000 feet. It's on a routine yet highly sensitive reconnaissance mission over one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. But on the Iranian coast, early warning radars have already locked on. Why fly an uncrewed drone instead of a manned aircraft in such a heavily contested zone? The answer is risk mitigation. The U.S. relies on assets like the MQ-1 to gather continuous high-fidelity intelligence without putting a pilot's life on the line. Claiming an airspace violation, Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launches a surface-to-air missile and secured a direct hit. The multi-million-dollar American asset is blown out of the sky in a blinding flash. But how do Iranian air defenses manage to track and destroy a high-altitude American drone so swiftly? The answer is a sophisticated, localized air defense web. The IRGC utilized phased array early warning radars capable of detecting the drone's specific radar cross-section from miles away, feeding that firing solution directly to a localized SAM battery. But again, this becomes a tit-for-tat policy. The response from Washington is immediate. U.S. Central Command orders swift, calculated retaliation. The target packages are prepped for two strategic IRGC strongholds: Qeshm Island, the heavily fortified choke point managing maritime traffic, and Goruk, a critical coastal staging ground for electronic warfare and drone operations. But what makes Qeshm Island such a high-priority target in this theater? The answer lies in its geography. As the largest island in the Persian Gulf, it acts as an unsinkable aircraft carrier, allowing the IRGC to position coastal defense cruise missiles and radar arrays right at the throat of global shipping lanes. The mission? Line the grid first. The tip of the spear are these Super Hornets as well as F-15 Strike Eagle. These strike fighters deploy AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles. These weapons track the radar's own electronic emissions, screaming down the beam to vaporize the installations that guided the initial attack. How do U.S. fighters destroy an active radar site without getting shot down first? The answer is specialized electronic warfare munitions. The AGM-88 actually hunts the invisible radio waves emitted by the enemy's radar dish, riding that signal straight back to the source at Mach 2. Next, precision-guided jams strike the neural network. A main IRGC ground control station is obliterated, instantly severing the data links between Iranian operators and their unmanned fleet. On the tarmac nearby, two one-way attack drones, fueled and ready to strike commercial shipping, are wiped out before they can even launch. Why target the ground control station instead of just hunting the drones in the air? This is tactical efficiency. Severing the command link at the source instantly blinds and grounds an entire localized fleet of unmanned aerial vehicles with a single kinetic strike. A surgical, high-stakes message sent in under 48 hours. My colleague will explain exactly how the Navy uses these airborne early warning radars. Flying high above the fleet, they constantly monitor the skies, watching for where the next attack might come from.
This is Phase 2. As soon as the Iranians launched their attack, U.S. spy satellites tracked the trajectories back to their exact sources. The military now knew exactly where the strikes had originated. Qeshm Island, the closest launch point for drones and boats. Bandar Abbas, the nerve center for the entire IRGC Navy. Bandar Kamar and Sirak, coastal sites used to fire the very missile that had just been intercepted. As soon as they identified the sources, they activated Phase 3. This is how it started. Multiple Stratotankers departed from Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE. FA-18 Super Hornets flying from the USS Abraham Lincoln were the active carrier-based strike platforms being used in the Strait of Hormuz area during this entire operational period, and the same aircraft type would have participated in the strikes on Bandar Abbas and Qeshm on May 7. Carrier strike group assets deployed to CENTCOM included the U.S. Abraham Lincoln and its carrier air wings, which support F-35C Lightning II and FA-18E Super Hornet fighters, cruise missiles, and other aircraft. But did the destroyers just sit around as bait as reported? Well, the most impressive part of the bait and respond doctrine was that the destroyers were doing two things at once. While their radars were locked on incoming Iranian missiles, their decks were launching Tomahawk cruise missiles of their own. The first target is Qeshm Island. It sits directly inside the Strait of Hormuz and is one of the most strategically important Iranian positions in the waterway. During the exchange of fire between the Iranian armed forces and the U.S., parts of the commercial area of the bomb in Qeshm were targeted. This is Target 2, Bandar Abbas, Iran main naval hub. Bandar Abbas is the epicenter of Iranian naval operations around the Strait of Hormuz and had already been struck repeatedly during Operation Epic Fury in February. This is target number 3, the Bandar Kamir and Sirak. These are coastal towns in Hormozgan province on Iran's southern coast, directly overlooking the Strait of Hormuz. They serve as IRGC naval staging and launch points for fast attack craft and drone missile operations targeting the waterway. The U.S. Navy then uses these jets to strike Iranian ports. Here is target 4, Bandar Kargan Naval Checkpoint. Located in Mina, approximately 50 miles east of Bandar Abbas, this facility is used by the IRGC to monitor and intercept vessel movements. This is Strait of Hormuz. It's a massive global choke point, handling roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps threatening that not even a single leader will reach their enemies. But how do you actually pull that off, especially when your navy has just lost more than 50 of its prized warships? The answer is simple. You go old school. You bring back World War II-style tactics. Enter the Mosquito Fleet. Instead of relying on massive, easy-to-target destroyers, the IRGC Navy uses a swarm of fast inshore attack craft. We're talking about incredibly quick, small fiberglass boats, classes like the Ashura, the Tarek, and heavily modified Bog Hammer speedboats. But how do these speedboat attack U.S. warship? The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy operates hundreds of small, fast attack craft armed with heavy machine guns, rockets, and anti-ship missiles. The tactic here is simple, but deadly. Instead of trying to fight a U.S. destroyer one-on-one, which they would lose, they deploy dozens of small boats simultaneously from every direction. The goal is to overwhelm the U.S. ship's defensive systems, like the phalanx, by presenting more targets than the ship can track and destroy at once. And they don't stop at military hardware. They actively deploy dual-use craft. To the untrained eye, these look like everyday fishing dhows or commercial trawlers, but underneath, they're secretly outfitted for covered military ops. So how exactly do these tiny boats deploy heavy naval mines? Since they are dedicated, large-scale mine layers, you won't find any high-tech, automated track systems here. Their methods are incredibly low-tech, but in a tight bottleneck like the Strait of Hormuz, they are lethally effective. It usually comes down to the stern drop method. The mines are simply strapped to the back deck of a small boat. Once they get their target coordinates, the crew literally just rolls or pushes these massive explosives right off the stern and into the water. Some of the slightly larger boats might have basic metal rails to help slide them off, but really that's about it. This bare-bones setup is absolutely perfect for hit-and-run tactics. The whole strategy relies on speed and stealth. A small speedboat can dart right into the busy shipping lanes, hide under the cover of darkness, or just blend in with regular civilian traffic. They drop 2 or 3 mines in a matter of seconds and then floor it back to the safety of the Iranian coastline, long before heavy U.S. warships can even get a lock on them. And the weapons themselves. These little boats are tapping into an estimated Iranian stockpile of anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 devices. They drop everything from simple contact mines, which float near the surface and explode on impact, to advanced bottom mines. Those sink to the shallow seafloor and just wait, patiently listening to detonate the second they detect the acoustic signature of a passing supertanker. How U.S. is using the preemptive capability destructions to strike the 16 mine-laying ships. This is strategy 1. Instead of waiting for the mines to hit the water, which would force dangerous mine clearance operations right under enemy fire, the U.S. took action first. They struck the vessels before they could even deploy. It's a textbook preemptive denial strategy. Destroy the enemy's means of attack before they ever get the chance to use it. Here comes strategy number 2, intelligence coup precision targeting. This strike wasn't a guess. It was the direct result of highly actionable intelligence on Iran's operational plans. The U.S. layered signals intelligence from RC-135, maritime surveillance from P-8 Poseidons, and human intelligence. This allowed them to pinpoint exactly which vessels were the mine layers where they were parked and exactly when they were most vulnerable. That brings us to strategy number 3, striking vessels while moored. Most of these targets were actually docked at the time of the attack. Hitting a stationary ship is infinitely easier, safer, and more precise than hunting down a moving target out on the open ocean. Plus, it completely eliminates the risk of a missed shot causing an unintended international incident in a heavily trafficked strait. Strategy number 4 is the dual target doctrine. By hitting both the mine-laying vessels and the mine storage facilities at the exact same time, the operation guaranteed that even if replacement boats were available, there wouldn't be any ordnance left to arm them. It's a layered approach designed to maximize the strategic impact of a single coordinated operation. The U.S. didn't just use one weapon, they threw the entire playbook at the Mosquito fleet. They used Hellfire missiles fired from drones against small boats, and launched long-range cruise missiles from Navy destroyers right off the coast. And to finish the job, heavy strategic command bombers dropped massive 2,000-pound, GPS-guided bunker busters to completely wipe out the boats while they were still sitting in their storage facilities. This is a U.S. Central Command combat footage where a Hellfire missile engaging enemy mine-laying vessels. Pausing on this still image confirms its identity as a Hellfire, a munition frequently deployed from this MQ-9 Reaper drone. This vessel is one of 16 destroyed by this type of munition. It underscores a crucial point. Understanding how these small missiles operate is key to understanding how they turn the tide of a conflict and destroy a small navy with a small drone. Let's take a look inside and see exactly how they fire these missiles. He uses a thumbstick to zoom in on a heat signature, locking onto the target. When he's ready, there's a trigger button just below the joystick. A simple squeeze launches the weapon, guiding it directly to its intended target. These enemy targets firing at the MQ-9 reappear, clearly lit up on the screen, as you can see here. Even for civilians, there are countless bad actors targeting our computers, which is why we need a defense mechanism, just like the MQ-9 multi-targeting radar system. Similarly, this VPN identifies and blocks suspicious email with a harmful download link. In this case, it will alert you immediately. Beyond that, it includes a robust antivirus software to shield your devices from viruses, malware, and tracking by ads, bots, or third parties. Finally, with Surfshark VPN, a single subscription covers not just you, but also your friends or even your entire city if you wanted. Go to our link surfshark.com/AITelly. By buying through the promo link and using the code AITelly, you will get 4 extra months free, assured by a 30-day money-back guarantee. But how did this small missile could successfully track and hit the speedboat? Let's take a look at Hellfire missile tracking and guidance. The AGM-114 Hellfire missile is a precision weapon guided either by semi-active laser or millimeter wave radar. This means it can accurately lock onto and follow targets, even ones moving quickly on water, like a speedboat. The MQ-9 Reaper drone uses advanced onboard sensors and targeting pods to continuously track the boat, sending real-time information to the missile after it has been launched. The drone's sophisticated systems can calculate the boat's speed, direction, and maneuvers, allowing the missile's guidance to predict where the boat will be and adjust its flight path to hit the target. Paired with the MQ-9 Reaper drone's continuous real-time tracking, enable the missile to accurately follow, anticipate, and destroy a fast-moving boat traveling at speeds up to 69 miles per hour. When you add it all up, the U.S. has taken out over 60 warships and submarines in a span of just 10 days. First up is the Jashin. When this Iranian fast attack craft approached a U.S. surface action group, it fired a U.S.-made Harpoon missile, a remnant from pre-revolution armed sails. The U.S. cruiser USS Wainwright successfully evaded it using electronic countermeasures and chaff. The U.S. ships instantly returned fire, sinking the Jashin in what became the world's first ever missile duel between warships. Then came the Sahand. This Iranian frigate sailed out to challenge the U.S. fleet and fired at passing aircraft. The response was immediate. Navy attack jets and the destroyer USS Joseph Strauss swarmed the vessel, pummeling the Sahand with missiles and heavy bombs until it caught fire and ultimately sank after its own munitions detonated. Later that same afternoon, a third ship, the Sabalin, tried its luck. The frigate fired a surface-to-air missile at a U.S. jet. The pilot simply dodged the missile, looped right back around, and dropped a 500-pound laser-guided bomb directly down the ship's exhaust stack. The internal explosion completely crippled the vessel. The overarching goal behind all of this was to secure the Strait of Hormuz, the single most critical choke point for global oil. We make original videos from scratch and animated by humans, so please subscribe to not miss a beat.